morning, everybody. You guys excited for Christmas?
Hey, you.
Yeah.
John is. Okay. I'm just wondering, how many people have not started their Christmas shopping yet? Dale, Eva. Are you serious? What do you? I'll tell you what I want, and then. Geez. Okay. Well, let's see. I imagine that if we compare Christmases as adults, because I am an adult now. 26. Can you believe that? I know. I'm not like 80.
Oh.
Just kidding. As adults, if we compare Christmases, I imagine they'd be a little different. But as kids, when we compare Christmas as kids, I imagine there's a lot of similarities. For example, when you're a kid, all you care about are presents. That's it. And if you say that that's not all you care about, then you're lying in church. But when you're a kid, it's all you care about is presents. I talked to my dad about how his childhood was, and it was all about presents, and my childhood was all about presents. My dad told me a story once of when his parents, my grandparents, we call them Papa and Mom. I'm going to call them that for the story. All the kids went to bed, it was Christmas Eve, and Papa and Mom were standing there with all these presents in the living room, none of them wrapped. They're looking at it, like how many of you have not wrapped any presents on Christmas Eve? Well, you've wrapped them now? Well, why not? We need to start wrapping them. We'll talk about this afterwards. So it's Christmas Eve, all these presents there. It's probably 12 o'clock, according to the story that I made up. 12 o'clock, and they're looking at it like, I don't know if I don't feel like wrapping all these presents. It's Christmas Eve, I just want to go to bed. He's looking at Mom. They're trying to figure out what to do, and then he goes, I got an idea. Mom. He doesn't call her Mom, but Mom, go grab the blanket. Blanket, just go do it. Grabs a blanket, takes the blanket, all the presents there, and he decides, go like this. This is what I imagined. Let's go to bed. So they all get up next morning, and there's a pile with a blanket over top of it, and their Christmas morning is Rusty, you go, Randy, you go, oh, okay, cool, thanks. That was our Christmas morning. I remember when I was a kid, one year I really wanted a new coat, and my dad was here yesterday, and he hates when I tell this story, but it's funny, so I'm going to do it. He's not here. So, he wanted a new coat, I wanted a new coat for Christmas, and that's right when the Ravens were here, and my dad was training me to be a Ravens fan, and I wanted a new coat for Christmas. That's what I wanted. The last box open was a big box, opened it up, and it's a nice, authentic Ravens coat, winter coat, with the old symbol with the shield and the wings. That was kind of ugly, but there's new, authentic Ravens coat, and I was like, yeah, and I put it on really quick, and I'm like sporting it and all this stuff, and we have it on camera, and then next to me is my brother Shane, and he didn't ask for a Ravens coat, but he instantly regretted not asking for a coat, because he saw the joy that it gave me. He's looking at me like, looking at his presents that are meaningless now. He doesn't care about any of his presents. He's looking, and my dad, while he's filming, he sees my brother, and he sees how upset he was that he didn't get a coat, and as opportunistic that he is, he looks at him and goes, Shane, don't worry, you're getting a new coat too. And he goes, really? I'm getting a new coat? He's like, yeah, you can just have Eric's old one. He doesn't need that anymore. But when we look at, when we're kids, like that's what we care about, our presents, right? How many of you, I know Little John has done a bunch of this, how many of you tried to find your parents' presents that they were going to give you before? Yep, you did that? Little John? Yes. How many of you actually found the presents before Christmas? Actually found them, and yep. How many of you opened them up and played with them before Christmas? Little Johnny. I was going to ask, you didn't break any while you were playing with it, right? Break it and try to put them back.
though.
Put them back? Did they ever know?
No, I got caught.
Okay. So most of us have that in common. Then when we're a kid, another thing we have in common is that Christmas can't come soon enough. Once Christmas, you just cannot wait. Once December hits, you're ready. You might have that calendar that you flip the numbers over. We had a snowman.
Yeah, you still do.
But when you're an adult, it comes too quick. Like how much shopping have we? I haven't done any shopping, but we're good. Fair amount. Okay, good. So like when you're an adult, you're like, Christmas is coming too soon. I have to start shopping. I can do all this stuff. And when you're a kid, you're like, it can't come quick enough. I need to hurry up. And that last week of school, that's the longest week. That week will never end. The last week of school, but. The certainty of Christmas is there. As in, when you're waiting for Christmas, you know it's eventually going to come. You know Christmas will eventually come. And this is the same dynamic that set up the very first Christmas in the Bible. Same dynamic of waiting and waiting for an event to come. See, for generations and generations, there were Jewish people in the Bible that waited every day for the Messiah to come, for Jesus to come. Every day they waited, that hoping that that day might be the day the Messiah comes. And generation after generation died waiting for the Messiah, never saw him. But others would get up every day thinking, this might be the day the Messiah comes. Now, a lot of people abandoned their faith. A lot of people said, I don't think he's coming anymore. They gave up. But other ones decided, every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to wait as if the Messiah is here. We're going to talk about two of these people today. So we're going to talk from Luke chapter 1. If you have your Bibles, open it up. I didn't say that yesterday, and everyone was like, "You don't bring Bibles. This is a church. What are you talking about?" Luke chapter 1. We're going to have it on the screen as well. The reason why we're telling this story to start this Christmas series is that this is relevant to us because there are times in all of our lives, in all of our Christian walks, where we start to think, why do I keep doing this every day? Why do I keep believing in a God? Why do I keep living my life to a certain standard when I don't feel like it's doing anything for me? There are times where you're going through life just thinking, I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of living the same life, living the Christian life. I'm tired of doing that stuff. All my friends are doing something different, and they look like they're having fun, but I have to do this. Why do I have to keep doing that? You're thinking, why do I tithe every week? Why do I serve at a church? Why do I go to church at all? I'd rather sleep in. Or you might think, well, am I just following this because my parents told me to follow this? Am I just following this because my parents decided a long time ago they were Christians, so now I'm a Christian because of that? Is that a good reason to follow a faith and to live a certain way? Or am I just following this because maybe I'm scared that if I don't follow this, that God might curse me or I might not be blessed as much? That's why I'm following it? Or maybe it's just a superstition at this point. Maybe I'm just doing it because I have to do it. This is what I've always done. A lot of us go through those times where we think, why am I doing this? Why am I following this? This is what sets up the Christmas story. Because this Christmas story, if you ever had that thought, if you ever thought about this, or if you're thinking about this right now, the Christmas story is for you. Luke chapter 1, verse 5 says this: In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah, who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. I don't know if I'm saying that right. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. So basically what this is saying is Elizabeth and Zechariah came from the priestly line. Their parents were priests, their grandparents were priests, their great-grandparents were priests, so they came along. And then Zechariah became a priest as well, because he was taught that way. So generation after generation, they brought this idea of the Messiah coming, of this idea of Christianity, this faith, taking it to the next kid, until it got to Zechariah. Zechariah is a priest now. Verse 6. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. Basically what this is saying is that if you've ever read the Old Testament, Leviticus, there is a lot of Lord's commands in there. There's a lot of decrees you have to follow. Can't cut the hair on the sides of your face, you can't eat sea animals. There's like so many things. And what's it saying is Zechariah and Elizabeth lived blamelessly. They did everything. They did what they were supposed to do. And when God looked at them, they saw that they were blameless. They didn't do anything wrong. They got up every day as if Christmas morning was coming. They got up every day like the Messiah might be there that day. So we're going to live our lives in a good way, the way the Lord wants us to, because he might show up today. So how does that work out for them? Verse 7. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive. So you're telling me that these people lived blameless lives, they did everything they could to follow God, and God rewards them with not having a kid. And back then, when you didn't have a kid, they didn't have the science that we have now. They thought you did not have a kid because God was cursing you. That's what they thought. And then they also thought that they didn't think that it was the man's fault if you couldn't conceive. They always thought it was the woman's fault. So they thought it was Elizabeth's fault. They blamed Elizabeth. And back then, when you were a woman, not trying to offend anybody, but when you were a woman, all you were good for were having kids. That was it back then. So they live perfect lives. They do everything they're supposed to do. And God says, well, you're not going to have a kid. And then the verse ends with this. And they were both very old. So it was over for them. Their opportunity to have kids is gone. I imagine they prayed the desperate prayer that any parent would when they want to have kids, just praying, God, bless me with a kid. In their 20s, they were praying, and God said no. In the 30s, they said, God, come on, please, we want to have kids, no. 40s, they probably were close to stop praying, but we'll pray anyways, no. Now they're old, and they don't have any kids. And Elizabeth lived with the shame of not being able to have a child until her old age. Lived with that shame. But they still were blameless in front of God. They lived